Hello, hello. I am just checking the sound, making sure you can hear me okay. Hello. All right, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know these are crazy times, right? So I figured I'd hop on. I put together a quick presentation for you today so that you can start to manage your mind around the crazy events that are going on so that you don't only have to survive during this crisis, but you can thrive. And we have a lot of time on our hands. So I figured this is a great way to do some work on yourself and on your own mind. So let's get started. So, in this class, I'm going to show you how you can not only survive a stressful time in your life, but also thrive and come out stronger on the other side. I'm going to teach you practical tools that you can use right away to empower you during any life event. So you'll be able to take this not only right now everybody's dealing with the quarantine, but you can take the tools that I'm going to teach you today and you can apply it to any time you need to cope or anytime you really need to manage your mind. So all I ask is that you just turn off all your distractions, spend some time just focused in on this lesson. I hope you find it valuable. I think you'll be able to walk away with what you learn here, and really apply it to your life right away. So maybe you signed up for this because you feel anxious or overwhelmed, and the current situation and circumstances really maybe have you on edge and you feel powerless to do anything about it, but you want to show up for your family. Maybe you have young children at home, maybe you're caring for an elderly person, but I know as women, we often tend to bear the burden of the caregivers in our circle, right? And maybe you just don't know how to do that. Maybe you're freaked out yourself and you want to show up as your best for your family, but you're not feeling well equipped to do it. So, what I wanted to do was just give you tools to help you cope, teach you how to manage your mind, give you practical tips to get you going. And then I included at the end of this just a time for questions and answers so that if you have anything that comes up in your specific situation, perhaps I can give you some advice. So, by the end of this, I'd like for you to imagine having grown in your resilience, built your self efficacy, improved your relationships with your immediate family, and came through this event, this stressful event, better than you went into it, which would be awesome, right? So, like, as a homeschool mom of 8 kids, I totally understand where you're coming from. It's hard to adapt from a regular routine to having life get flipped upside down. It is certainly stressful. Then you add in kids who are with you all day and a quarantine and the uncertainty of what could possibly happen, and the layers of stress just keep going. If there's a food shortage, if there's a medicine shortage, what if people get sick? Right? It you can really take your brain in crazy down crazy rabbit holes of fear. But what if you had tools that could help you grow stronger in your mindset so you could totally rock during this period of time? So I wanted to read you something. I actually came across this the other day when I was doing my morning devotions, and I thought it was totally appropriate. So just give me one second. I'm going to pull it up. It's actually inside a real book. But in the book Rilla of Ingleside by Lucy Maud Montgomery, Rilla, the character who had just spent the past 2 years of her life living through the hardships of World War II, was asked if she would like to change those difficult years. And here's her response. No, said Rilla slowly, I wouldn't. Isn't it strange? They have been 2 terrible years, and yet I have a weird feeling of thankfulness for them, as if they had brought me something very precious with all their pain. I suppose I had a soul then, Miss Oliver, but I didn't know it. I I know it now, and that is worth a great deal, worth all the suffering of the past 2 years. We never do want suffering, said Miss Oliver. That is why we're not left to choose our own means and measures of development, I suppose. No matter how much we value what our lessons have brought us, we don't want to go on with the bitter schooling. Right. And so sometimes we have a feeling of dread having to face difficulties, but you can still choose how you respond to those difficulties. I don't think I know anybody who says, yes, please let me sign up for something stressful. right? But when it falls in your lap and it's right in front of you, think of it as an opportunity to grow with a growth mindset. And while I was doing research for this and for a few other workshops, I had learned that people who adapt a growth mindset actually fare better than people who just tend to focus on the negative. So a growth mindset would be someone who says, okay, what are the opportunities in this situation? What are the good things about this situation? Not just focusing on the negative, but seeing, okay, what can come out of this? How can I grow in this situation to show up and be a better version of me through this? So often, how you perceive stressful events can make the difference between joy and anxiety. And many times, people find that they grew the most during those difficult circumstances. And when there was a study done, and they had asked people on their deathbed what they regretted doing, it was all the areas that they didn't grow in, where people who had that growth mindset, it was like the exact opposite of the people who had regrets on their deathbed. The people with the growth mindset had a completely opposite perspective of life. So that is something to consider. Okay. This was cool too. When I was doing some research, that I found that in times of crisis, women specifically will look for ways to breathe life into situations. So, for example, during World War II, there was an uptick in sales of lipstick. And actually, it happened again. Sales of lipstick doubled right after 9/11, right? Because it's an easy win and it's a quick way. Getting a new shade of lipstick is just a very quick way to get like a little burst of joy in a stressful situation, right? And so we have this inborn desire to create order out of chaos. And real quick before I move on, what they found was immediately after World War II, there was an increase of sales in murder mysteries, and it speaks to this desire for us to create order out of chaos. If you think about a murder mystery, you have a group of people, like think of an Agatha Christie murder mystery, right? Or Murder She Wrote. So you have a group of people who are like in a community together, living life together, and all of a sudden one of the people are murdered and the community is scared and fearful and there's chaos and no one trusts anybody, and you need a detective to kind of come in and put the puzzle pieces all together and solve the chaos and bring order to it and kind of solve the problem, get the bad guy, get him out of there, and restore the community back to the way it used to be, right? So that's the hero. And it's just in us to want to do that in life anyway. And so it really is so fascinating to me that we're naturally drawn to wanting to create order out of chaos because it gives us power. It makes us feel powerful and it gives us something we can control. So when you're anxious, the reason why you're actually anxious is because you feel powerless in the situation. So, whenever we feel we have no control in a situation, it will show up as anxiety and fear. Okay. So, but you can control in any situation, even if the circumstances feel out of control, you can always control your thoughts. And so, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a little bit of work and I will be sending you the replay of this. So, if I go too fast for you, you'll have the replay and you can watch it at your leisure. But if you can grab a pen and paper, I want you to jot this down because this can totally help you. And actually, you can use it in any area of your life that you're struggling with. Okay. So, this is what you do. What I want you to do is it's called the brain dump, or, my coach, Brooke Castillo, taught me to do this. And I think it's super helpful. She calls it a thought download. I call it a brain dump. What I want you to do is just take all the thoughts that you've been consumed with for the past maybe week or two, or just even this morning. If you woke up with a dreadful feeling, or you're just feeling maybe anxious or scared, or maybe your husband or you lost your job, or maybe you're having to adapt to situations as it's unfolding and you're really worried about it. Okay. Do a brain dump. I want you to take all those thoughts that you're having and write them down. And the interesting thing with your brain is it's going to take you to like the worst possible scenario, right? Like you're basically going to die and that's all. And then your brain's like, that's it, game over, we're done. That's it. We're going to die, right? But what I want you to do is to do this brain dump because it will really help you see, okay, what is true in this situation? What is really going on? Am I in as much danger as I really think I am? Or am I being, am I just letting my brain kind of run wild? Because it will run wild. Here's the thing. Your brain's job is to keep you safe and happy and keep you from dying, basically. So it's going to tell you you're in danger and make that fear feel very, very real to you because it wants you to take action and it wants to keep you safe. So it's not a bad thing to have these feelings, but you need to manage them through your thoughts. So when you do this brain dump, what I want you to do is take those thoughts one at a time and look at them and see how are they affecting your feelings. And then I'm going to teach you how to do a thing called a run a model on each thought. All right, so let's get to that. So pick a thought maybe that's the most pressing thought, or maybe there's something that keeps coming up for you that you just kind of can't get out of your head. And I'm going to show you how you can manage that. So, the circumstances are basically events that happen in your life. They're not they're basically neutral though. They could be they're good they're neither good nor bad. They're just circumstances. And really what happens is the way you think about those circumstances will create your feelings. Your feelings then drive your actions and your actions will create your results. For example, and I use this in my stress management class. For example, say you have $20 in your bank account at the end of the month. Okay, that's your circumstance. So on this circumstance line, you would put like maybe a letter C for circumstance and then a dash and write $20 at the end of the month, right? It's just a fact. There's no drama with it. There's nothing. $20 at the end of the month. So now your thoughts about those circumstances could be, right? Could be, oh my goodness, I only have $20 left in my bank account. This is horrible. How can I survive? This is not a good thing, right? Or maybe you could say, holy cow, I managed to pay all my bills and do everything I needed to do this entire month, and I still have $20 left over in my bank account, right? Two different thoughts, same circumstance, just depending on how you think about it. Now, the person who thinks it's terrible, their feelings might be stress, anxiety, worry. Um, Maybe they're resentful of the fact they only have $20 left. And so their feelings are going to be somewhat negative, right? And that means their actions, maybe they're going because they feel negative about that $20 in their bank account. Maybe they feel like, why bother staying on a budget? All I have is $20 left to show for it. Or, I'm going to take that $20 now and just spend it on myself, right? Or anything. And so the action would be take the $20, go buy fast food to feel better. Okay. That would be the negative circumstance. A positive circumstance, if you feel like, yes, I budgeted and I managed to have a surplus of money over at the end of the month, I'm going to take that $20. Maybe I'm going to save it and put it towards my emergency fund, or maybe I'm going to, leave it in there for now, or whatever. Like, so you have like a positive thought about that $20 being in your bank account, and your feelings are determined, they're satisfied, right? You feel like accomplished. And then so your actions are going to be maybe you save that money. And then the result is you have $20 added to your savings, or maybe you use it to pay off some debt. So your action is, or your result is, extra savings in the bank or whatever. Okay. But so this is just to give you an idea of how circumstances are neutral, how you think about them affects how you feel. And then those feelings will drive your actions, and then your actions will create results in your life. And you could do this with anything, and you can start at any point. So you could say, like, let's say, uh, you want to start with your results, and you start with your thoughts. That might be easy for you to do right now since you just did a thought download. So start with a thought you don't like, and then you could fill the circumstance in. So maybe the thought is, I'm tired. My kids are with me all day, so I'm tired. So the circumstance is kids are with me all day. Your thought is, I'm tired. So maybe you feel grumpy. So your action might be, maybe you're a little short with the kids, and then the results could be, their feelings are hurt, or, you know, you're in charge of your own model. So you go ahead and fill that in as best you can. Okay, so here's one. I tried to give you another example. So circumstance, see how I put a C there? Circumstance, home quarantine with my family. Thought, they might get very sick, maybe even die. Right? I have a baby who just turned 1 yesterday. I have a husband who's still commuting into New York City. Talk about stress, right? He's still considered essential. We live in Pennsylvania, and he's commuting into Brooklyn every day, in the epicenter of where this is all going off. And so it's like, oh my goodness, they might get sick. He could bring it home. What's going to happen, right? So you feel anxious or powerless. Um, you know, when I feel powerless, one of the things your brain will tell you to do is, well, if you have more information, you can feel more powerful, right? So you go check the news, but the thing is, when you're checking the news, you're actually probably doing it, you're telling yourself you're doing it to get more information, but it's actually kind of feeding that fear a little bit, because it's really, there's not much good comes out of just checking the news all the time, right? Or maybe you're overeating, or maybe you're crying about it, right? And then your result is depression. Maybe you're gaining weight. Maybe you're feeling more stress. Maybe you're grumpy and short with your family. Or here's another model for you. Same circumstance, right? Home, quarantine with my family. So my thought is, okay, let's try to, now we're going to use that adaptability, right? This is where this comes in. That now, okay, I have extra time. This is the growth mindset. I'm sorry, growth mindset, right? Extra time in my schedule to do something I've been putting off, right? All of a sudden, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. We are home, and that's it. So, okay, how can I look at this and try to see the positive? I could wallow. I could watch the news. I could overeat, or I could say, look, I have been putting off maybe 3 or 4 projects that I know never feel I have time for. Maybe it's organizing something or learning something, right? So I finally have that extra time. I'm not shuffling my kids all over the planet during these 2 weeks. I have extra time. So I'm going to do something I have been putting off. And that brings a feeling of being empowered, right? You're making a choice. You can't control the situation. It is what it is, but you're empowered because you're choosing how you're going to be spending that time. And then, okay, I'm going to do something I've been putting off. I'm going to set a 30-day goal. And then my result is accomplish that goal. And my husband and I were joking when I was talking about doing this with you guys. And I said, I have, yeah, I like to exercise because it helps me reduce feelings of stress and anxiousness. And I said, I don't go to the gym because with the 8 kids, it's just really hard. And it's really not something in my budget. So I just said, I got an app, and I just log in every morning and just pick a workout video to do. And I was joking with him. I said, it'd be really funny if we like set our 30-day goal is like, let's get totally ripped, and then all of a sudden we're heading back out into public and people we haven't seen in over a month. And it's like, wow, check out the Corbett's. Like, what were they doing? Like, hey, we got buff, man. So you could look at this and try to find the positive, right? So okay. So when you start to feel anxious, exactly what I want you to do is just what I walked you through, is run those models. So come up with some powerful ways to cope, not only survive, but to thrive during this time. And I want you to think, how can I do this? What does that look like for me? Right. So run those models, take those thoughts you've been having, put them on paper, and then plug them into the model and see what you can come up with. This is a super powerful tool. And it's fascinating because I've been doing this now. My coach Brooke Castillo taught this to me, and I would say it's been about 10 months, and really been able to make some amazing changes in my mindset, which is fascinating. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to come up again, get another piece of paper, and I want you to name one thing you've been putting off because you never had the time, right? So let's say no excuses, you're home. What's that one thing you're kind of like, yeah, I got to go do something else right now. I don't have time for this in my life, right? It's something in around your house because that's where you are. So Think about what could that be? Could it be cleaning out the attic? Maybe getting the basement organized? Maybe it's cleaning out the kids' clothes and I don't know, just organizing your spice pantry. Like whatever it could be. Something that's like really you don't really want to do it, but it just kind of needs to get done. I call them nagging unfinished tasks, right? Or nuts is what I call them. They're your nuts of your everyday life, just stuff you just put off. But they kind of do nag at you, and it would be so awesome actually to get it done and accomplished. So then pick something, pick one of your nuts, and set a goal to accomplish that in the next 30 days. All right. So here's some examples. Clean out your attic or your basement. Learn how to cook. There are a ton right now, especially. There are a ton of online apps or even like online websites that have cooking videos and free memberships for the next few months that you can learn how to cook with. And if your kids are home now with you because school is out, teach them how to cook along with yourself, right? Include your kids in every single activity that you do. So don't just say, okay, now you go to school and live fragmented from them. You can totally start to include them into your lifestyle, because everyday living is life skills and they will learn so much in their time with you. Okay. So totally include them with whatever you do. We got seeds, we ordered off of Amazon, and it's a perfect time right now. We live in Northeast Pennsylvania, so spring is just starting. Um, we got some seeds and soil, and we got these little pod things to start planting them, and we're going to include the kids in it, and we can use that as a total lesson, right? We even went to Tractor Supply and got chickens. We have a few chickens that are free range here, but we got baby chicks, and that gives them something to do. They have to feed the chicks, clean out their little coop thing, and make sure they have water, and they're adorable. It occupies them. They're learning animal husbandry. So try to think outside the box if you can, but include them in anything you're doing. Laundry, teach them how. If you have a kid who can work a computer and work an iPad, in my opinion, they can work a laundry machine. They can work a washer or dryer. They can learn to work a vacuum, right? If they can use some machines, they can use all machines. So put those kids to work because that gives them a feeling of belonging. It gives them a feeling of self efficacy. It gives them something to do during this time. And they're all life skills. Eventually, they're going to grow up and leave. Well, why not use this time to equip them and have your house in order too? Let them contribute to the household. They're home with you, right? Another thing, this is fun. Learn about yourself. There are tons of online personality tests that you can take that are free. They like the Myers Briggs. I don't know if that one has a cost to it. I took it when I was in college. My husband and I last year took a strengths assessment, and we did it online. It was $50 for each of us, and then we went through a book called The Strengths Based Marriage. We did it for fun, but I'll tell you what, the results that we got out of doing that was so cool beyond what we even expected. We learned so much about ourselves. We learned so much about each other. It was something that we really, really enjoyed. And they even have it for teens and kids. So if that's something you're interested in doing, and maybe you have teenagers that are totally bored, this is so fun. And you can learn a lot about each other. So take that time and invest them into your family. Make it so that you look back on this and you look back on it fondly, not something that's dreadful, right? So that personality test, totally fun. Totally recommend it. I could tell you stories about some stuff. My lowest strength is called adaptability. And I was laughing so hard because I'm like, this totally explains why I hate camping. Totally, totally, totally. So we really had a good time when we went through this with each other because I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be like, trying to just ruin your good time with your camping love of camping. I'm like, I just really don't like it. And look, here's my proof. I just don't like it. Anyway, get outside when you can and get some fresh air. Take a walk, even if it's just on your own property if you can't get outside into nature. When I was researching for my self-care workshop, I learned that there's something actually called nature bathing, and what they said was people would go outside and literally, like, hang out in the woods, purposely kind of, like, rubbing themselves on trees to get the bacteria from the tree onto them for their increased benefits of well-being. I'm like, "Alright, well, whatever." But, I don't know, just get outside in nature, listen to the birds chirp, get some fresh air, take some deep breaths, look up at the sky, enjoy nature, enjoy God's creation, right? Another thing you could do is get a read out loud. Read Aloud Revival has amazing book lists for all people of all ages. So if you enjoy reading or you enjoy stories, that is something you could and you but you don't maybe know what to read. Go ahead over to readaloudrevival.com, I believe it is. Sarah Mackenzie is the woman's name who runs that website. She has amazing book lists for kids of all ages, for genres that they might like, and she even has some free resources too on like how to even read out loud. But even if you don't want to read aloud, you can always download Audible and get the book she recommends and let the kids listen to it. I know also Adventures in Odyssey has I think 2 months for free right now that you can go on to focusonthefamily.com and go to Adventures in Odyssey, and they have all kinds of that's actually what we listen to in the car when we go on car rides. We really don't listen to much music. I put on an Adventure in Odyssey. They come with some nice lessons. It helps the kids with what they're walking through right now and gives them good advice. And it's usually they're actually pretty good. I like listening to them too. It's not really childish, but it's good for the kids. Okay. So, and that's, I think they have 2 months for free as well right now that they're offering. If you want, take an online class. I just launched my workshop bundle. I think it's amazing. There's my shameless plug, but you can head over to healthwellnessandchocolate.com and check that one out, right? There's one on self care, there's one on stress management, and there's one on how to lose weight for the last time. And I bundled them all together and created a workbook for you. And it's like $49.99. So totally worth the investment. And it's something, again, set that goal for 30 days and work through it. You come out thriving, not just surviving. You could also start a chore system. Again, get those kids involved, right? Give them stuff to do. And then take this time and make it fun. Make it so that you can look back on this and feel like you were successful because your kids are going to look for you. As a woman, you're setting the tone for your household, right? So if they see you fearful, afraid, scared, grumpy, they're going to reflect that back to you. But if they see you thinking, okay, how can we make this fun? How can we not only survive this? How can we thrive? How can we make this so you're going to tell your grandkids about this point in history? Have them journal. Let them build forts. Let your house be messy. There's a Bible verse. It's in Proverbs, and it says, where there is no ox, the stable is clean, but much gain comes from the strength of an ox. So I always think of that's kind of like my life verse because I'm like, well, my ox are home and my stable is pretty messy, right? But it's kind of like they're here and all the mess and stuff. It's the guys, they're alive, they're living. There's dirty laundry because they're getting messy, and there's dishes to be done because they're healthy enough to eat, and there's food so they're able to consume it, right? Try to think of the positive. Don't just wallow in the stress of what's going on right now, right? As women, we are cultivators of life. We set the tone and the atmosphere of our home. So make it lovely, make it pleasant as best you can that suits your taste and your budget. In 6 months, this is going to be a memory, right? We're going to look back on this, and we're going to refer to it as like the quarantine or COVID-19, whatever. But make it so that you can look back on it and smile and think, okay, you know what? I can do hard things. I am capable. I brought my family through this, and I did it with a smile on my face. And your kids are going to look to you to see how you handle hard situations. And then when they grow up, they're going to look back at that and say, okay, my mom lived through this and she was able to do it well. I'm going to do it well too. Inspire them, inspire others around you. People need to be inspired, especially now. I always say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, right? And I didn't come up with that. That's been around a long time. But, you know, have confidence in yourself. You were created for such a time as this, and you have everything you need. And whatever you don't need, God will take up the slack for whatever you lack. So put your faith in him and don't be fearful. You know, all generations are given a point in time where they're called to this task, where they're called to a task, right? And this is ours. So here's one last thought. Stress can be an amazing time of growth. So don't squander your opportunity. Take moments to breathe, enjoy making sweet memories with your loved ones. Do what you can, add joy into your life where you're able to. Try to maybe only check the news once a day if you feel like you have to at least know what's going on. Do it one time a day and then let it go. And then just focus, stay in your own lane, focus on what you can, work on what you can control, not just sit there and feel powerless and scroll the internet every day, trying to get more information because it won't help you feel good. If anything, it just raises your anxiety level. So, if you have any questions at this point in time, go ahead. You can type them in. I'd be happy to answer them for you. If not, I just encourage you. I will send this replay back out to you, so you can go ahead and rewatch how to do the models, uh, do the thought downloads, come up with that 30-day challenge for yourself. It doesn't have to be epic, but set a goal for yourself. That alone will help your mindset and give you something to focus on besides just being consumed by the news. But if you don't have any questions, I will go ahead and end our time together. And I'm so happy and thankful that you came in. I hope you were blessed by this. I hope you feel free to share this when you get the replay with a friend that might need some encouragement or ideas of stuff to do. Okay. And be well, guys. Chin up. We'll get through this. All right. Take care. Bye bye.